What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, recently we have been talking a lot about the future of this team. We've been talking about a lot about Matt Patricia being fired. We've talked a lot about the coaching staff, that, the next head coach, the guy that the Lions should bring in. We've been talking a lot about the future of this football team. But we still have 5 weeks left to go in this NFL season. We still have 5 weeks as the Detroit Lions to come in and do something good for the remainder of the 2020 season and to bring some momentum into 2021. Now, in today's video, I want to preview Week 13 with our matchup versus the Chicago Bears. Go over it, talk about the strengths and weaknesses of both teams and what to expect in this matchup. Now, before we get into it, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds out of your day to do so, and it helps the channel out and it helps me out more than you could know. So if you could do that, just take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. But without any further ado, let's get into previewing this Week 13 matchup. Now, as I said in the beginning, the Detroit Lions, the 4-7 Detroit Lions in Week 13 are traveling to Soldier Field to take on the 5-6 Chicago Bears. Now, the Detroit Lions are coming off a very embarrassing loss in their Thanksgiving football game. They lost 41-25 to the Houston Texans, so they are not looking too hot right now. Although they are without a head coach in Matt Patricia for this game, they did officially fire him, as we've talked about numerous times this week. And, we will be coming in with just our coordinators, so you never know how different things might actually look. The Lions at least have a little bit of optimism now. Lions fans have at least a little bit of optimism for this game, whereas the Chicago Bears do not. The Chicago Bears are on a 5-game losing streak right now, and they are starting Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, which might be the scariest thing a Chicago Bears fan has heard in 2020. Now, the Chicago Bears offense is not a very good one. The Chicago Bears offense ranks 31st in yards, so they're the second worst team as far as offensive yards. They are 19th in turnovers, which is not horrible, but is not great. And then they are the 30th scoring offense in the NFL. So this offense for the Chicago Bears doesn't put up points, doesn't put up yardage, doesn't really turn the ball over that much, but still turns the ball over enough for it to be considered a problem for them. They aren't very good. They've not put up numbers all season, and now they are down to their backup quarterback, and they are down to Mr. Mitch Trubisky, who, as I said, Bears fans are not the biggest fans of Mr. Mitch. So, this game for the Detroit Lions should be one where the defense can get right. The Bears offense is not very good. They don't score points. They don't put up yards. They're not particularly good at rushing or passing. So this is a game the defense should get right. And with Corey Undlin coming in and having full control, full reins over the defense with no influence from Matt Patricia whatsoever for any of the game, the defense should look a little different. I think that Corey Undlin has been calling the defense for a majority of the season. However, he was not calling it in Week 1 versus the Chicago Bears when we first played them. Obviously, that game ended in a loss for the Detroit Lions, although it should not have been a loss. But regardless, end of the day, the Lions left that game as an 0-1 football team. So, the Lions did lose this first matchup versus the Chicago Bears. But in this game, expect something different. Expect the Lions to come out with a different defensive plan than the last time. Expect them to come out with a fire. Expect them to come out having fun and trying out some different things and trying out some new tactics and some new schemes. Because, so far, under Bevell, just under a week, Bevell has said multiple times that he wants this team to have fun. He wants them to play free, play fast, and have some fun on the football field. And I think that's a good way to go. I think Matt Patricia was kind of a dictator. It was kind of my way or the highway with Matt Patricia, and bringing in this new philosophy, even if it's just to test it out for 5 weeks after the season is over, it's not a bad thing. I think this is a good move by Bevell as the interim head coach. Let your players have fun. Let your players enjoy the remainder of their season. Let them go out and have some fun. Call some trick plays. Do some new tactics. Try out some new things. See if it works. See if it doesn't work. This season is over at this point, so expect the Lions to come out with some defensive game plans that are different than what we've seen. Expect them to try out different players at different positions, and expect the Lions to do some pretty interesting and pretty, unnormal things, because, they're trying to have fun at this point. The season is over. Darrell Bevell's trying to have his players enjoy the season. He's trying to have his players have fun and play free and play fast, and that goes for the defense and the offense. I know he's an offensive guy, but that goes for both sides of the ball. Expect the defense to come out with a different game plan. Expect them to play hard. Expect them to play fast, and expect them to look to have a lot of fun this Sunday. Now, of course, the Detroit Lions defense is not coming off their best performance, as Deshaun Watson, a quarterback who is much better than Mr. Mitch Trubisky, threw for over 318 yards and 4 touchdowns on us in that 41-25 loss. So, of course, our defense is not coming off the greatest defensive performance, but expect them to have a bounce back game. Expect them to play much better this week with a new defensive game plan, with a defensive coordinator that's finally going to call a full game with no influence from Matt Patricia, and a game plan and a philosophy that they're just going to go out there and have fun and try to win some football games. Now, one thing I would expect from the Detroit Lions this week, and we talked about it a little bit just a moment ago, but expect some young depth players that don't usually get a lot of playing time. Expect them to get some playing time this weekend. Now, I'm talking guys like Mike Ford, Austin Bryant, Julian Okwara, Quintez Cephas, Jarrad Davis, Logan Stenberg. Of course, if they're all healthy, barring that they're healthy, expect them to get a lot of playing time, because one, the season is over, right? We're not going to make the playoffs. The playoffs are pretty much out of reach for this Lions team. They fire their head coach. They're already looking for the next guy. But, when doing that, when looking for your next head coach, you want to sell your team as best you can to this new head coach. So the Lions are going to look to not only evaluate the talent, because they are in an evaluation stage right now. They're not only going to look to evaluate the depth and the youth on this roster with guys like Mike Ford, Austin Bryant, Julian Okwara, Quintez Cephas, Jarrad Davis, guys like that. They're also going to look to sell this team. Sheila is also going to be looking to sell this team to a coordinator, looking to sell this team to the next head coach and convince him and give him every single reason possible to come to Detroit and be our next head coach. This is an evaluation period for the Detroit Lions for now, and it's also an evaluation for what they need in free agency, what they need in the draft, and it's also a selling point to future head coaches to what they can have to work with when they are in here in Detroit. So expect guys that aren't used to playing, expect guys like Logan Stenberg and Jarrad Davis and Julian Okwara, if healthy, to get a lot more playing time. Expect them to make a lot more impact, and expect them to see a lot more playing time in the coming weeks, just because at this point in the season, the Lions are evaluating their talent, they're evaluating what they have, and the best way to do that is to give everybody a decent amount of snaps to see what they can do with those snaps. Now, looking at the Detroit Lions offense versus the Chicago Bears defense, this is where strength meets strength for both teams. The Detroit Lions, although they're not a great offensive football team, their offense is significantly better than the defense. However, the Chicago Bears defense is a very, very good one, as they rank 8th in yardage in the NFL allowed. They are 25th in turnovers, so they do not get a lot of turnovers, but they are the 4th scoring defense as well. So kind of like the Washington Redskins, kind of like the Washington football team, they don't get a lot of turnovers, they don't make a lot of splashy big plays on the opponent's offense, but they don't allow a lot of yards, they don't allow a lot of touchdowns, and so far, the Chicago Bears defense has been the reason that the Chicago Bears team has been able to win 5 football games. Of course, it hasn't necessarily showed up recently, it hasn't been enough recently, as they have dropped their last 5 football games, but when the Chicago Bears do win, generally it is on the defense, and generally the defense plays a big part in those victories. Now, the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, on the offensive side of the ball, they showed some improvement on Thanksgiving. They played a little bit more free, they played a little bit more loose. Of course, you got to clean up the turnovers. You cannot fumble the ball and throw a pick six. You can't have 3 fumbles on the day and have a pick six and expect to win that football game. So the turnovers have to get cleaned up, but there were some more trick plays. There was more motion at the snap. I saw a little bit more commitment to the run. Like, I saw some good things in that Thanksgiving game that makes me think Darrell Bevell, with the right circumstances and without being hindered by Matt Patricia as much as he was in weeks prior, I think that this offense can look better, especially better than what we saw in week 1. And of course, if Kenny Galladay and DeAndre Swift are back, if they're healthy, if they're ready to go out and play, this offense is going to look so better and so much different and so much better than what we've seen in previous weeks, that I truly think that the Lions can have a good game in Chicago. I think that especially if our weapons are healthy, if DeAndre Swift and Kenny Galladay are out there, if Darrell Bevell continues to get kind of crafty, gets a little tricky, throws in some trick plays, throws in some stuff that Chicago Chicago Bears have not seen yet. I truly think this can be a good game for the Detroit Lions. And I know a lot of people are hoping that we tank the season. I know a lot of people are hoping that we just kind of lose out and don't win a lot of football games. And the odds of that happening, very realistic, right? There's a very realistic chance that we could lose to the Chicago Bears. And there's a very realistic chance we do lose to the Chicago Bears. But I think with the Bears' offensive struggles, with them losing the last 5 games in a row, with Mitch Trubisky being the starting quarterback, and the Chicago Bears defense not looking particularly great on Monday or on Sunday night versus the Green Bay Packers, I think this is a game the Lions can go win. I think this is a game that, with a new head coach, with a new fire under them, with new energy, with new life, going out to have fun and just enjoy playing football and enjoy the rest of their season, I think this Detroit Lions team can go out and get a win versus Chicago. I really think this Lions team has a good opportunity to go to Soldier Field and avenge their loss in week 1. I think they can do it. I think obviously there's a huge rivalry between these teams. The Lions are not just going to lay down and let the Bears have this one. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. But in the end, I truly think the Detroit Lions can walk out the victors of Soldier Field. I think that they have more enthusiasm. I think they're going to walk in with more fire. I think they're walking in, not necessarily with more to play for because both teams are effectively out of the playoff race. But I think the Lions are just going to walk in with a different mentality than weeks past. They're going to walk in fresh. They're going to walk in rehydrated, rejuvenated. They're going to walk in with a different energy than they had under Matt Patricia, because under Matt Patricia, you could just tell the players weren't buying in. The players weren't convinced and they weren't sold on Matt Patricia. So I'm not going to say they gave up on plays. I'm not going to say they gave up on the season, but you could see at times they just felt defeated. This team felt broken. It felt defeated. And I think this week under Darrell Bevell, there's a little bit of excitement. There's a little bit of that new fire. There's a little bit of that enthusiasm back in the building with the Detroit Lions, because we're finally moving forward. We're finally moving in a good direction. And although Darrell Bevell might not be the guy for the future, although Darrell Bevell might not be an offensive coordinator for the Lions next season, he might not even be here next season at all, I still think that we're going to walk in with a different energy. We're going to walk in with more enthusiasm. We're going to walk in having fun. And I truly think that Darrell Bevell is going to call some cool things. I think we're going to see some very unique play calling from Darrell Bevell at the end of the season. And I think that the Detroit Lions could go in and have a really, really good football game with that different energy, that, and that mentality and that knowledge that we're finally moving forward. We're finally moving in the right direction to become Super Bowl champions, to become what we want to be. And I think that mentality is going to play a huge role in this game. At least me as a Lions fan, I have more to look forward to now. I want to watch this game. I'm excited to see how this game plays out. I'm excited to see how the play calling changes without Matt Patricia. I'm excited to see how this offense changes and how this defense changes without Matt Patricia. And I'm really, really curious. I have a little bit of enthusiasm because I know Darrell Bevell has not had a great season as a play caller. I understand that, but the optimism without Matt Patricia, at least for me and a couple other Lions fans, is really big. And I'm looking forward to see what this team can do the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to see what they do without Matt Patricia. I'm looking forward to see what they do without Matt Patricia hindering the offensive and defensive play calling. And I am, at least as a fan, I am excited to see what product the Detroit Lions can produce now that they have a different guy calling the shots. But with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. If you're new to the channel, as I said in the beginning, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds out of your day to do so, and it helps the channel out more than you could know. With all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all tomorrow with more Lions content. Bye, guys.